Crystal glasses stopped mid-toast. My father's voice shattered the room like glass. She's the reason our family's failing. Heads turned. Eyes locked on me. Some curious. Some disgusted. Most amused. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. I stood there, frozen in my emerald satin gown, the exact one Mom once mocked me for saying looked like a discount tablecloth. My wine glass trembled in my hand as security began walking toward me in sync. Two men in black suits, sharp, silent, and smug. They'd been waiting for this moment, probably rehearsed it with him. Escort her out, Dad commanded, his jaw clenched, his hand dismissively waving me off like I was some stain on the family name. This event is for real members of this family, not freeloaders who embarrass us. The gala had gone quiet except for murmurs, the kind that taste like humiliation. A cousin whispered something to his fiancé. My Aunt Allison smirked behind her champagne. And Mom, she looked down. Not in shame, not in guilt, just disinterest. I was alone. Again. Security reached for my arm, and I pulled it back. No way I was going to be dragged out like some scandal. If they wanted a scene, I'd give them one, but not the one they expected. I stepped back, lifted my chin, and just before turning toward the giant doors behind me, I said loud and clear, "Then I guess you'll hate who's coming next." Gasps. One of the double doors opened, and there he was. 6'2", charcoal black suit, jawline sharp enough to cut silence. His watch alone could cover my family's mortgage. My husband, my secret, until now, walked in with the confidence of a man who already owned the room. Cole Maddox, billionaire tech CEO, Forbes cover boy, the same man my father tried and failed to partner with 2 years ago. The man they all underestimated. The man no one knew was mine. And the second he reached my side, took my hand, and kissed it without breaking eye contact with my father. That's when their faces went pale. Silence smothered the gala like a thunderclap had struck mid-ceiling. My father didn't blink. His jaw hung open slightly, then clenched, then unhinged again like he couldn't decide if this was real or some bad dream. Cole turned to the crowd, gave the room a polite nod, then leaned down slightly and whispered in my ear, loud enough for my father to hear. "Is this the part where we smile or burn it all down?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The whispers turned into murmurs, the murmurs into rustling. Chairs scraped the floor as people adjusted in their seats to get a better look. Some even stood. The Maddox name didn't just carry weight, it commanded attention. "What's going on?" Aunt Allison asked, already regretting her words. Cole smiled like a man with secrets. "My wife and I were just leaving. But it seems we walked into a family celebration. Or was it an ambush?" The word wife echoed like a slap. My brother Seth choked on his champagne. My mother stood now, clearly trying to compute what she'd just heard. And Dad, he was already reaching for control. "You married him," he growled, eyes darting to me. "Behind our backs? Without our blessing? After everything we've done for you?" I turned slowly. "You mean after all the years you used me as a pawn? Called me the disappointment? The burden who couldn't make the family look good enough for the donors?" His eyes narrowed. "You betrayed us." "No," I said, stepping forward. "I survived you." Cole's arm slid around my waist, calm and collected. But I could feel the storm behind his stillness. He hated how they treated me, even before he knew the full truth. And I had never told him all of it. Not yet. Because I didn't want him to burn everything. But now, maybe I did. "I'd like to say a few words," Cole said smoothly, taking a mic from the nearby bandstand. "If the host doesn't mind." My father started to protest, but someone else stepped in, the governor. A longtime Maddox investor and a close friend to Cole. "Actually, I'd like to hear what he has to say," the governor said, folding his arms. "The Maddox name means something in this state." My father turned ghost white. Cole cleared his throat. I won't take long. Just wanted to thank the family that raised the woman I love for teaching her how not to treat people. For every time you shut her out, you made room for her to grow stronger. For every insult, she built armor. And now you'll learn the cost of disrespecting someone who never needed your approval to begin with. He turned to me. Let's go. We've got a flight to catch. I nodded. But before I walked out, I turned one last time. You always told me I was worthless. That I'd never amount to anything. That no one would love me unless I fixed everything wrong with myself. Well, turns out the only thing wrong with me was believing you. Then we walked out. And I swear, you could have heard a pin drop on the marble. But this wasn't revenge yet. Not even close. This was just the introduction. The black town car waited by the curb, engine low and humming. Cole opened the door for me like he always did, like a man who didn't care if the world saw him do it. I slid inside, heart still pounding from the adrenaline. The doors shut with a soft, definitive click, and silence wrapped around us. Until Cole spoke. You okay? I nodded once. No, I said quietly. But I will be. He studied me for a moment, then pulled out a velvet box from the console and handed it to me. Open it. Inside was a silver key. To our building. But the label read my maiden name. Madden Enterprises, CEO, Elena Madden. I stared at it. You changed the name of the building? I changed the ownership, he said. To you. My breath caught. But why now? He leaned back. Because they need to know you didn't just marry up. You are the up. I wanted to wait, but they humiliated you publicly, and I don't let that go unpunished. For a moment, my hands trembled. Not because of the power, but because someone, for once, believed in me more than I ever had. But then, my phone buzzed. A message. From my younger sister, Grace. Are you happy now? You've embarrassed the entire family. Dad is livid. Another one followed. You always ruin everything. I didn't reply. Because the truth was, I hadn't even started. 2 days later, Midtown. The Maddox boardroom smelled like cold steel, lavender diffusers, and vengeance. I sat at the head of the table, the silver key now pinned on my custom blazer, the board's eyes fixed on me. These weren't just yes men, they were wolves. But Cole had already cleared the path. This is the proposal, I said, setting down the folder. We'll purchase the pending real estate holding from Madden Capital. It's undervalued, and my father is desperate to offload it. One of the men raised a brow. And what's the catch? I smiled. We won't tell them who's buying. I watched realization slowly spread across their faces. You're going after your own family's assets? Someone asked. No, I replied calmly. I'm simply taking back what was never theirs to gatekeep. Cole leaned in from my right. You all have your marching orders. Let's shake the tree. Back at the family mansion, 1 week later. I wasn't there, but I could picture it clearly. My father storming into his office, finding the letter from his lawyer. The one that said the family's most lucrative downtown property was now in the hands of a shell company backed by Maddox Holdings. He must have turned red, then pale, then screamed. But what he didn't know, that property was about to be renovated into a free public resource center under my name. No profit, no investors, just a symbol that I could do good without them, and they could do nothing about it. I wasn't playing their game anymore. I was writing a new one, but every revenge story has a twist, and mine came the night I found out what Grace had done. It started with a voicemail. Hey, Elena, it's Aunt Ruth. I don't want to get in the middle, but your sister, Grace, she's been talking to someone, a reporter, about you, about your marriage, about secrets she says she knows. Be careful. The line went dead, and for the first time in days, my fingers went cold. I'd underestimated her. Grace wasn't just jealous. She was dangerous. And I had just declared war. I always knew Grace was bitter. But I never thought she'd sell me out to a gossip rag for a taste of attention. 2 days after Aunt Ruth's call, my inbox exploded. Not with emails from clients or associates, but links, screenshots, tabloid headlines, secret marriage scandal. Billionaire's wife was a family outcast. Elena Madden faked her way to the top. Insiders claim her marriage was a business deal. They used pictures from years ago, ones Grace could have only pulled from private family cloud accounts. One showed me at a low point, crying outside the old family estate after my father denied me a job at his company, saying I wasn't built for business. Cole found me reading the article alone in the kitchen, one hand clenched so tight my nails left marks on my palm. "She used my worst moments," I whispered. He stepped beside me, calm but firm. "Then you use your best." I looked up. "She wants to ruin my name." He nodded. "So, you remind the world who gave it value." 2 days later, a televised gala appearance. We hadn't planned on attending the Midtown Equity Conference's fundraiser. But the moment I saw Grace listed as a panelist for Women in Leadership, I asked Cole to make a call. We arrived late, on purpose. The cameras were already rolling. The moderator was halfway through introducing Grace, describing her as an inspiring advocate for family business values. I nearly laughed. Then the doors opened again. Flashbulbs went wild. This time, no one gasped. They cheered. I walked in wearing the same dress Grace had once mocked me for trying on, custom-fitted now, sleek, powerful, and took the microphone without waiting to be invited. "Good evening," I said. I wasn't scheduled to speak tonight, but given some recent headlines, I felt compelled to remind a few people what truth looks like. Grace froze. She couldn't interrupt, not on live TV. "My name is Elena Madden. I was called a failure, an embarrassment, and worse by the very people who claimed to love me. And when I finally stepped away to build something for myself, I was branded a traitor." I glanced at her. But here's what they won't tell you. The only betrayal that ever mattered was surviving theirs. I walked off before applause could begin. Let her sit in that. Let her burn in it. Later that night, our penthouse. Cole stood on the balcony, whiskey in hand. I joined him with a mug of tea, staring out at the skyline. The world felt quieter after what I'd done. But my mind wasn't quiet. "You think she'll come at us again?" I asked. He shrugged. "Grace doesn't know when to stop. But she also doesn't know you've already won." I stayed silent. Then, "There's something I never told you." He turned toward me. "I once loaned her money. Before you. Before any of this. She said she needed it for school. Turned out it was for a getaway trip with her ex. I never asked her to pay me back, but I knew then that she'd sell me out someday." "Why didn't you say anything?" he asked softly. "Because I didn't want you to hate her like I did." He put down his glass. "Elena, you don't get it. I don't hate her." "You don't." "No," he said. "I just don't think about people that far beneath you." But Grace wasn't done. 3 nights later, someone tried to hack into Cole's financial records. An IP trace confirmed it. Grace had gotten into the building Wi-Fi from a borrowed laptop at a Midtown cafe. We caught it in time. Nothing was stolen. But it told us one thing. She wasn't just trying to humiliate me now. She was trying to destroy him too. And that was war. I didn't scream. I didn't storm into her apartment or trash her online. No. Grace wanted chaos. So I gave her clarity. We filed a restraining order. Quietly. We pressed charges for digital theft. Silently. And then I made the final move, publicly. The final strike, at the Madden Legacy Gala. My father still held the annual event, even after the scandal, even after the failed real estate deal. He had to keep up the illusion of power. The ballroom looked the same. Velvet ropes, marble floor, pillars dressed in light. But this year, there were whispers long before I arrived. No one said it outright, but I knew what they were thinking. Would she come? I wasn't listed. I hadn't RSVP'd. But I had a key. I entered alone. No Cole. No entourage. Just me. The room quieted before I even reached the steps. Grace was standing next to our father. And when she saw me, she smiled. A small, venom-laced smile, like she knew something I didn't. "Don't bother," Dad said loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "She's not on the guest list." I didn't blink. I pulled out a thin, leather-bound folder and handed it to the event manager beside him. Read it, I said. He did, and his eyes widened. It's the deed, he stammered. To the venue. Correct, I said. I bought the property last month, which makes me your host. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Grace's smile dropped. Dad tried to speak, but I cut him off. Save it, I said. I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to end this. I turned to the crowd. Every person I'd grown up trying to impress. Every voice that whispered when I failed. Every guest who had clapped when I was escorted out the last time. You said I was the reason this family failed. That I embarrassed you. That I'd never be anything. And yet here we are. I didn't need your name. Or your money. Or your approval. I looked at Grace. I only ever wanted a sister. Not a shadow. I looked at my father. And I only ever wanted a father. Not a tyrant. My voice trembled, but I held steady. I'm not asking to be accepted anymore. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just showing you you never broke me. Then I walked off stage. And Cole, waiting just beyond the curtains, wrapped me in his arms. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. For surviving?
No, he said.
For winning. Epilogue. 2 months later. Grace took a deal. No jail time. Just a hefty fine, mandatory therapy, and a full public apology, written by her lawyer and read on a podcast no one listened to. Dad's company was under investigation for financial misconduct. Nothing connected to me, but poetic enough. And as for me, I launched a scholarship for women who had been cast out by their families, who were told they weren't enough. The first recipient was a girl who reminded me of who I used to be. Quiet, nervous, unseen, but not for long. If this story hits you even a little, just hit that like button. It helps more than you think.